Next, we're going to talk about regulations influencing the Value Finding Appraisal Report. The regulations are Ohio Administrative Code 5501-2-506, which is the criteria for appraisals. By the way, OAC that governs the director of the Ohio Department of Transportation, so those are rules that ODOT has to comply with. 49 CFR 24103 criteria for appraisals, that comes out of federal regulation, and that is the regulation that implements the Uniform Act. The appraisal requirements for ODOT are nearly identical for the regulations required in 49 CFR Part 4. And here is that regulation. Appraisals must comply with USPAP and, as appropriate, the Yellow Book, which is the Uniform Appraisal Standards for Federal Land Acquisitions. The agency has to contribute to the appraisal process by contributing to the development of the scope of work and defining the appraisal problem. We do that with our appraisal scoping checklist. The agency has to assure that the appraisals are relevant to its program needs. It shall develop minimum standards for appraisals that are consistent with accepted appraisal practice for low-value simplistic acquisitions that do not require in-depth analysis and presentations necessary in a detailed appraisal report. And it is based on this regulation from the Ohio Administrative Code that ODOT has developed the Value Finding Appraisal Report. It's low value, compensation has to be $65,000 or less, and it can only be used for simplistic, non-complicated valuation problems. All appraisals shall, 1, have a description of the physical characteristics of the property appraised and of the remaining property. Has to include, and if personal property is involved, there has to be a description of the personal property, any known or observed encumbrances, any title information, the location of the property, its zoning, its present use, and an analysis of the property's highest and best use. And it has to have at least a 5-year sales history. By the way, that 5-year sales history exceeds the standards of USPAP, which is typically a 3-year sales history. 2, all relevant approaches to value are to be used. If more than one approach is used, there shall be an analysis and reconciliation sufficient to support the appraiser's opinion of value. 3, a description of the comparable sales, including a description of relevant physical, legal, and economic factors, such as parties to the transaction, source and method of financing, and verification by a party to the transaction. 4, a statement of the value of the acquired property to include damages, if any. 5, the effective date of value, the date of appraisal, the signature and certification of the appraiser. We need to ignore project influence. The appraiser shall disregard any decrease or increase in the market value caused by the project. It's time for knowledge check 6.